Good evening. Get ready for a weekend of disruptions if you're planning to go in or out of downtown or just get around the city.
A major closure on two of the city's busiest expressways, plus a subway shutdown, will make getting around a challenge for thousands of people. CTV's Mike Walker is live tonight with the details. Mike.
Well, Zaretta, Nathan, both the Gardiner and DVP will be temporarily closed on Sunday for the Bike for Brain Health event, something the city approved over a year ago. Meantime, the TTC says planned work on Line 1 must go ahead, and there's a lot of frustration from people today who are planning on going downtown this weekend. Signage warning of the impending closures this weekend on the two major expressways leading in and out of the downtown. Coupled with a partial subway closure along Line 1, anyone planning to travel downtown bracing for?
It's going to be chaos, my friend.
The biggest impact will be on Sunday, with 10,000 cyclists expected to hit the expressways for the Bike for Brain Health charitable event that supports programs and research at Baycrest for dementia. The annual event forcing the closure of the Gardiner Expressway and Don Valley Parkway from midnight to 4 p.m.
I take the Gardiner every day, so this weekend I will be staying home. I don't want to be on the traffic.
I just think it takes a lot away from, being able to plan over the weekend.
This is for a charity. Of course we can wait. Have patience, people.
The city approved the closure back in 2023 and says it will have a comprehensive plan in place that will include real-time adjustments to keep traffic moving.
To see where we can assist with making signal timing changes to help with those shuttle bus routes, looking at alternate routes that people may take and giving more time, signal timings.
At the same time, tens of thousands of people are expected to descend on the downtown for the Blue Jays homestand and other events. Complicating the commute, there will be no subway service in both directions on Line 1 between St. Clair and Shepherd Young stations. For planned track work on Saturday and Sunday, shuttle buses will run instead.
It's honestly really annoying because the weekend is when you want to go see friends and do things.
Sarah is avoiding the core this weekend, but wonders if there could have been better coordination.
I personally would try to stagger it so that people can still get around properly.
Deputy CEO of the TTC says with events every weekend, it's tough to avoid the necessary system closures for repairs.
Unfortunately, the work has to be done. Some parts of our system are 70 years old and older, and they need work that sometimes can't be accomplished in that tiny window between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Adding staff determined the inconvenience this weekend would be minor, but with ongoing construction and lane closures on city streets.
Leave really, really early, at least an hour earlier than you need to be because it is jam-packed.
This weekend will be testing people's patience. And there are headaches already for commuters on GO Transit's Lakeshore West Line. Metrolinx tells us due to unplanned repairs that are currently underway, there will be no express trains this afternoon and this evening, with the train service now running every 30 minutes. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan Zaretta, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And speaking of disruptions, the clock is ticking on a possible TTC strike, which would mean a massive disruption to the daily lives of many Torontonians.
Both sides continue to talk, but as the union makes preparations for potential job action, the TTC is warning about the effects a shutdown would have on the city. CTV's Janice Golding is live tonight with the very latest. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, it's been a very long time since we had a transit strike in our city, but we are inching closer and closer to a full work stoppage with just a week left to hammer out a deal. A practice picket outside the Wilson Yard this afternoon. Transit workers mobilizing to show the public what may be in store next week.
It's their off day, it's before their shift, potentially maybe after their shift. They're all out here to volunteer and show their support, as well as express their frustrations.
ATU Local 113 members have been without a contract since March 31st, and last month they voted 98% in favor of strike action.
This is an employer-driven process, and if the employer comes to the table with reasonable offers and reasonable wages and so on and so forth, that the strike can be averted.
Workers haven't had the right to strike since 2008, when the province designated the TTC an essential service. But last year, a court overturned that legislation, calling it unconstitutional.
We haven't had the right to strike in over a decade, and so what we're doing is sharpening our tools and making sure that our members are prepared and ready to go on a strike line.
And John Danino, union president, says what that could involve is a total disruption of transit service across the city.
As someone who really relies on public transportation for work or just to get around to the grocery store, I think it will really impact my day-to-day experience, and I'll really have to plan ahead.
It definitely will be hard to go to and from work.
It will be very hard for us.
The nearly 12,000 workers say they're fighting for fair wages, fair pensions, safer working conditions, and for a cessation of contracting out. Issues TTC Chair Jamal Myers says are being reviewed at the bargaining table.
I am very confident that we can reach a deal. Both parties are at the negotiating table where they belong. They have been there multiple times this week negotiating.
Still, the TTC's Deputy CEO Bruce McGregor says the transit service is working on contingency plans.
A full strike is going to be devastating to the city, and that is always a potential, and we're prepared for that potential. I'm not sure that we're not going to be able to operate. That has to be understood. It's going to be very different for the city in that event.
So while the union and management say they'd like to avert a strike, both are getting prepared. Mayor Olivia Chow, meanwhile, says she's very optimistic that a deal can be reached, and she says at this point she's not going to be advising employers to tell their employees to work from home until, quote, we need to cross that bridge. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Zoraida.
Thank you, Janice. We'll have more news in a moment. Let's give you a live look outside right now. A beautiful way to wrap up this week. Lots of sunshine, no clouds in the sky, and temperatures in the 20s. Jessica Smith is here now with a look at our current conditions. Nice night to be out and about, Jess.
It is. It's warm. We get a bit of a light breeze out of the southwest, keeping it comfortable to spend some time outside. A few areas of high pressure keeping it nice and clear as we wrap up the month of May and our work and school week for many. Temperature-wise, again, it is comfortable in that low to mid-20 range for the most part right across southern Ontario, and we're holding on to a very seasonal night ahead of us. Over towards the island through Pearson, it's still between 19 and about 24 degrees. That breeze is a little bit stronger over towards the island naturally, and then as we head in towards this evening, it becomes northwesterly. A little bit of a cool down, but it is going to put us right at that seasonal mark. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including what you can expect as we step in towards the meteorological start of the summer season tomorrow. But right now, it's back over to Nathan.
Thank you, Jess. Still ahead tonight, dramatic video from an armed robbery. Toronto police are asking for the public's help in tracking down these suspects. We'll have the details in minutes. And some scary moments for a Catholic school in Mississauga this morning after police responded to unconfirmed reports about a weapon being spotted. At around 10:15, police say they were called to the incident near St. Aloysius Gonzaga Secondary School at Glen Aaron Drive and Aaron Center Boulevard. The school was placed under lockdown as a precaution. Others nearby were put into hold and secure. Police later said they arrested one person but didn't say whether a weapon had been recovered. No injuries were reported.
Toronto police have released their annual hate crime report for 2023, showing a sizable increase in incidents to reach a 10-year high. The report shows 365 occurrences were reported throughout last year, marking a 47% jump from the 248 seen in 2022. 59 people were charged in relation to just 61 of those occurrences, some of which police say were linked to global events. They also identified the most frequently victimized groups by hate-motivated incidents in the city. The Jewish community once again led the list, followed by the 2S LGBTQ2+ community, the Black community, and the Muslim community.
We are, of course, halfway into 2024, and police say already close to 190 alleged hate crimes have been reported this year. Nearly half of them have been deemed anti-Semitic in nature. That would mark a disturbing trend seen after October 7th, which police linked to an increase in anti-Semitic, anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian, and anti-Arab hate crimes.
Toronto police today also clarified how they will respond to any potential request to remove the pro-Palestinian encampment on the U of T campus. More than 170 tents are still there at King's College Circle as the demonstration approaches the 30-day mark. Last week, the university issued a trespassing notice with a Monday deadline to leave. That, of course, did not happen, and now police say the notice is not enough by itself to authorize officers to move in and clear demonstrators.
Given the manner in which events have unfolded to date, including the fact that the demonstrators were permitted by the University of Toronto to remain on their property, and the decision of the Quebec court denying McGill University an interim injunction, the Trespass to Property Act does not give the Toronto Police Service sufficient legal authority to clear an encampment. Therefore, absent a material change of circumstances, the Toronto Police Service will only act in situations involving an emergency to enforce the law and protect public safety or act in accordance with a court order.
The university is seeking a court order, but a hearing will not take place until later this June. Graduations start Monday. Protesters say they will stay until the university meets their demands, including disclosing investments in companies profiting from Israel's offensive in Gaza.
Toronto police are sharing dramatic video of a robbery earlier this month in hopes someone might recognize the suspects involved. Take a look. Security footage from May 16th shows one suspect enter a jewelry store at Fairview Mall. A second man then approaches with a gun and gets into a fight with an employee. Police say he then robbed the store and fled. Police released images of those two suspects, but say they're actually looking for 5. And they're asking anyone who recognizes either of them to get in touch or contact Crime Stoppers.
North of the city, York Regional Police are looking for suspects after a shooting earlier this month in Markham that was caught on camera. Police say this footage is from the night of May 19th on Hauser Street near Mingay and Castlemore Avenues. They say a resident was leaving their home and getting into the car when someone in a Jeep fired multiple rounds at the vehicle. The suspect fled. Nobody was hurt, but the investigation is ongoing. In Peel Region, 2 men have been charged with multiple firearms offenses in what police say is an investigation also linked to 3 murders. 34-year-old Corey Denton from Scarborough and 37-year-old Jasvier Gill from Quebec, now facing weapons possession and firearm discharge charges in relation to 3 residential shootings in Brampton. Peel police say those shootings are connected to a homicide in Mississauga and a double homicide in Caledon, all taking place in November of last year.
We're learning more about a deadly crash yesterday that claimed the life of a pedestrian near Victoria Park in Danforth. Just before 2 Thursday afternoon, police say a commercial pickup truck was reversing just as a 37-year-old man crossed behind it mid-block. He died in hospital, while the driver remained on scene. Now, the city says the vehicle belonged to a sub-consultant working on a municipal contract to prevent basement flooding. It expressed condolences but said it couldn't comment further while police investigate.
And it was a deadly night on the streets with 3 traffic fatalities in the GTA, 2 involving motorcycles. A man in his 20s is dead after a crash in Brampton last night involving a motorcycle and a transit bus. It happened just before 6 p.m. yesterday near Hurontario and Petworth Drive, north of Sandalwood Drive. The motorcyclist died at the scene. An investigation now underway to determine whether charges will be laid.
It is likely that there could be charges that arise from this, depending on the evidence that's collected and analyzed by our investigators. But it is a tedious progress, and as you can see behind me, there is a very extensive road closure in place with a lot of evidence markers on the road, which indicate that there's a lot of evidence for them to go through. So once our investigators have a chance to analyze all that evidence that they've gathered at the scene, they would have a better idea of whether or not charges are appropriate.
Roads in the area were closed for several hours for the investigation. No one on the bus was hurt in the crash.
And in Mississauga last night, a male motorcyclist, also in his 20s, was killed in a crash. Peel police responded to the Dairy Road and John Watt Boulevard area, just west of Mavis, at around 9:45 for a crash between a motorcycle and an SUV. The motorcyclist was rushed to hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Police say the driver and the person in the SUV went to hospital with minor injuries.
It has been nearly 11 months since Caroline Huebner-Macarat was tragically killed.
In July, the wife and mother of 2 young girls was hit by a stray bullet in Leslieville, not far from her home. Now, as Beth McDonnell reports, her community will have a lasting memorial to ensure her memory lives on.
In Adrian Macarat's East End neighborhood, there is a small park tucked within the row houses. A place his wife, Caroline Huebner-Macarat, often came with her young girls, joining many other families for fun, friendship, and community.
She never wanted the attention. I'm pretty sure she's right now going, you really didn't have to.
Caroline was killed last July, an innocent bystander out for lunch, struck by a stray bullet on busy Queen Street in Leslieville, as 3 men fought steps away from a health center with a safe injection site inside. Ready for the big reveal, Adrian has been working with the City of Toronto since the fall to change the name of this cherished green space to Caroline Huebner Parquet and honor her with a plaque and new maple tree.
It's going to be, a super bright red tree that I think in a way reflects Caroline's bright personality and love for the outdoors, and she had such a playful nature, which will, continue on, will grow with the park.
Tomorrow, family, friends, and members of the community will gather here for a ceremony to unveil the sign and the park's new name.
The first thing that's going to come to a lot of people's mind is it's tragic how she passed away. Such a bright, beautiful person taken too soon. But what I'm hoping is, and this is where a lot of people, I think, begin to realize is, this is where we can now remember her for what type of person she was, what she brought to everyone. She always wanted to give back to people. She traveled the world to understand, other cultures and the diversity of the planet. And I think that's what happens in a park is, there's so much interaction amongst community members, adults, and kids learning how to play together. It all starts here.
Caroline's death created an outpouring of grief and support across the city. Since 2 of the 3 suspects have been charged, police are working to locate a third man still believed to be out of the country.
She's probably proud of me for keeping it all together and ensuring that the girls will have a place with their mom's name on it for years to come.
Adrian says Caroline was always a natural, connecting with people and bringing them together. And Caroline Huebner Parquet will continue to do just that. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Just ahead, one day after a New York jury found him guilty on 34 counts, former U.S. President Donald Trump addressed the media. We'll tell you what he had to say and how the conviction seems to have helped his campaign.
Convicted serial killer Robert Pickton has died after being assaulted in a Quebec prison earlier this month. Following the May 19th assault, Pickton was transported to hospital to receive treatment. He was convicted in 2007 of killing 6 women whose partial remains were found on his BC property. Prosecutors dropped charges for an additional 20 murders after he was sentenced to life in prison. The remains and DNA of 33 women were found during a search of his farm in Port Coquitlam.
The United States says Israel is offering a 3-phase ceasefire plan in its war with Hamas. The proposal was announced today by U.S. President Joe Biden.
Now, after intensive diplomacy carried out by my team, my many conversations with leaders of Israel, Qatar, and Egypt, and other Middle Eastern countries, Israel has offered a comprehensive new proposal. It's a roadmap to an enduring ceasefire and the release of all hostages. This proposal has been transmitted by Qatar to Hamas.
The first phase would last 6 weeks. It calls for a full ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal from all populated areas of Gaza and a limited hostage release in exchange for the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Phase 2 would see a release of all remaining hostages, a full Israeli withdrawal, and a permanent end to the hostilities. Biden says a major reconstruction plan for Gaza would begin in the 3rd phase, and any final remains of hostages would be returned to their families. Hamas released a statement saying they view the proposal positively.
In Ukraine, 4 people were killed in an attack on the city of Kharkiv. 25 others were injured in strikes that destroyed residential buildings and civil infrastructure in various parts of the city. The Biden administration has approved the use of American weapons by Ukraine to hit targets inside Russia that were attacking Kharkiv. The decision follows Kyiv seeking authorization from Washington in recent weeks.
Meanwhile, Ukraine and Russia exchanged the bodies of some of their fallen soldiers today. There was also a prisoner war swap, the first one in 3 months. Ukrainian soldiers returned on several buses to the northern Sumy region. They will be taken to hospitals for 2 weeks of rehabilitation. Each side sent back 75 POWs. The exchange was the 4th this year and the 52nd since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022.
Donald Trump is speaking out against the American justice system.
One day after his conviction, the former U.S. president portrayed himself as a political victim and vowed to continue his pursuit of the most powerful position in the land. CTV's national correspondent Judy Trin reports.
In front of supporters, former U.S. President Donald Trump, now a convicted criminal, blamed the American justice system.
If they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone. These are bad people. These are, in many cases, I believe, sick people.
In a unanimous verdict, Trump was found guilty of 34 charges for falsifying records to conceal payments to a porn star. Trump downplayed the crime.
Hush money. It's not hush money. It's called the non-disclosure agreement.
He railed against the judge, the jury, and the prosecutor and refused to accept any responsibility.
It was a rigged trial.
It's reckless. It's dangerous. It's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years, and it literally is the cornerstone of America.
Trump was found guilty in a New York state court on state charges, not federal offenses. The stain of conviction doesn't appear to have tarnished his luster. Instead, it's a fundraising boost.
A record $39 million in about a 10-hour period.
Money that come November's election could translate into precious votes. He remains the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. This will further divide Americans.
I'm still voting for Donald Trump. I think this whole thing has been a mockery.
I do hope that it sways people who do vote for him. I think that it definitely reflects on who he is and how he's going to be running the country.
I am voting first time, so I am very excited to vote to the Trump.
The federal government has so far remained quiet on Trump's conviction, the only comment coming from Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly's office. She says Canada will work with whoever is elected to become the next leader of the United States. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
We have new video of that volcano that continues to erupt in southwestern Iceland. It is spewing lava that once again threatened the coastal town of Grindavik and led to the evacuation of a popular geothermal spa. Wednesday's eruption began following a series of earthquakes north of the town, which has been largely evacuated. The eruption was the 5th since December and the most powerful since the volcanic system roared to life after 800 years.
In Maine, a visit to a state park resulted in a special moment one family won't soon forget. They were treated to this idyllic scene. Feeling completely at ease, a moose waded into the pristine water against the breathtaking backdrop of mountains and a picturesque sky. Andrew Pearson realized this was something rare and decided to capture it on video. It happened as he and his family were visiting Baxter State Park in the North Maine woods.
Coming up, connecting the city of Toronto with the boys of summer. The Blue Jays unveiled their new swag, paying homage to the Six. We have fan reaction to the new fit.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, as the camping, hiking, and cottage season gets underway, it's important to be aware of the increase of ticks. There are now 13 different kinds of ticks in Ontario, and many carry diseases, but there are ways to keep yourself safe. I'll have my reports. That's just ahead.
And as we step into the start of the summer season tomorrow, the meteorological start and a brand new month, it is going to be beautiful outside. So if you're getting out to a park, going for a walk, enjoying time outdoors, just make sure you prepare accordingly. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast as we welcome in the month of June. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
As we told you earlier this week, tick season is well underway, and there are new species of ticks causing new diseases.
Lyme disease is the most common, and while not every tick carries a potential illness, you want to do everything possible to prevent bites. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Nathan and Zoraida, many of us already have insect repellents to keep mosquitoes away, and the good news is that those sprays and lotions will also protect you against ticks. There are 13 kinds of ticks in Ontario, but there's a concern other species are on the way. Every year, Consumer Reports tests lotion, sprays, and wipes on real people using real mosquitoes to find the best insect repellents. A repellent fails if a mosquito bites twice in 5 minutes or twice in 2 sessions.
We currently test repellents against only mosquitoes, but in past years we found that repellents that worked well against mosquitoes also tended to work well against ticks.
Whether it's for mosquitoes or ticks, the most effective repellents contain 25 to 30% DEET as their active ingredient. Public Health Ontario works with eTick Canada, a tick reporting website. The majority of ticks in the province are black-legged ticks, which are most likely to carry Lyme disease. But there are 12 other species that can spread illnesses that can cause damage to the brain and nervous system.
I pulled the tick off of me, and it was a light brown tick with a white dot on its back.
Another one showing up is the Lone Star tick. Its most distinctive feature is its star-like white splotch found on adult females. A bite from this species can cause a whole range of health issues.
With a warming climate, and especially with the growth of local deer populations, many northern states and even parts of Canada are becoming a lot more hospitable to these ticks.
While your best protection against ticks is insect repellent, correctly applying it is just as important as the kind you use. Follow the directions on the label and use a thin coat on all exposed skin. You can also spray on top of your clothes, but don't apply under your clothing. You should always do a tick check before returning home after being on hiking trails in the woods or grassy areas. And generally, a tick must be attached to the body for 24 hours or more before transmitting Lyme disease. If you do find a tick, it should be removed with the tweezers and pulled straight out without any twisting or turning. Health Canada has videos online to show how it's done. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
As we head into the weekend, Mayor Olivia Chow joined other dignitaries on the roof of City Hall to mark the start of Pride Month. An official flag-raising ceremony took place this evening, with the Progress Pride flag now flying high. The Toronto sign will be lit in rainbow colors all month ahead of the Pride Parade on Sunday, June 30th.
And as the calendar officially flips to June, lifeguards will return to Toronto beaches this weekend. The city says it's best to only swim when there are lifeguards on duty and to stick to the supervised area and clearly marked swim zones. Lifeguards will be present daily from 10:30 to 7:30 from tomorrow through early August during those time shifts. Now, full details and beach locations are available on the city's website. That's a sign that the temperatures are getting better, splash pads, beaches, all that good stuff that the kids love.
Beach weather this weekend, hopefully, Jess.
I mean, if you're brave, for me, I like it a little bit warmer. I'm like the mid to upper 20 range, but it is still really nice outside. So if you do want to get out, hit up one of the city beaches or go to a splash pad, it will be beautiful, especially for our Saturday. I know it is a busy weekend. There's a lot going on. It'll be a little challenging to get around. So if you can get out on foot, it is going to be a beautiful weekend to get those steps in. Just make sure you pack the sunscreen and extra water. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. We really have kicked off the official start of the summer season in a beautiful way as we step in towards this weekend. And even now, we're holding on to a lot of warmth. It is really warm in Northern Ontario. Moosonee right now sitting at 28 degrees. Here in the city, we're at just 24. And we're all kind of feeling this little bit of late day warmth surging in as we see a southwesterly wind carry us into at least the first half of our night. Tonight, it becomes northwesterly, so a bit of a cool down, but that just brings us towards a more seasonal point. We'll sit at 12 tonight, and really everybody a little closer to that seasonal mark, with the exception of Bancroft. They're still a little chilly, but we're not in that frost advisory anymore. Into the day tomorrow, we step into the start of the meteorological summer season. That's those temperature chunks. So it goes from June 1st through to the beginning of September. We're looking at a beautiful start to the summer season. We're holding on at 24 tomorrow, so not too far off that seasonal mark, and everybody in that kind of mid-20 range. We are watching, though, a system that is going to roll through, bringing some shower activity Sunday or Saturday night into Sunday morning. But by no means will it be a wash of a weekend as we settle in towards the month of June. For the rest of our evening, relatively clear, a beautiful night ahead of us, just that light breeze making it really comfortable to be outside. Heading into our Saturday morning, lots of sunshine to get things started. It really isn't until the late afternoon, early evening that we see the cloud cover increase. The best chance for active weather is throughout the late morning and early afternoon. The bulk of the heavier showers to start the day through Windsor to London, settling in towards Hamilton. For us here in the city, around that kind of midpoint point in our days when the chance of showers rolls through, but it is quite quick. And by the time we get to the late afternoon, early evening, before sunset, we will see a little bit of sunshine. So it's just that little bit of a cool down in the middle of the day to bring some of that shower activity in. Temperature-wise, we are almost spot on for seasonal as we head into the day tomorrow for that daytime high. A little warm into the evening at 16, so as that cloud cover rolls in late in the day, it seals in all that warmth that we've built up, so we don't see too much of a change or a cool down. Heading into our Sunday, again, that chance of showers kind of comes at that midday point for the GTA and the downtown core, heavier still through Hamilton, but it moves out and we have a beautiful day ahead of us. Into your Monday, Tuesday, we settle into the first week of June with lots of sunshine, a little midweek rain, but hey, that's the sign of the summer season. I'll send things back over to Zoraida.
Thanks, Jess. Also tonight, dancing with a unique new style and a sense of pride. We meet the star of the National Ballet of Canada's new production of Don Quixote on the heels of Pride Month.
The Toronto Blue Jays are debuting their new City Connect uniforms tonight.
Fans are divided on the new look, but they are united in their hopes the uniforms might spark some better play from the team. CTV's John Musselman is live outside the Rogers Centre tonight with more. John.
Hi, Zoraida. Yes, thousands of fans are filing in for tonight's game. We did see some people wearing these new jerseys. For the most part, we would say they seem to be a hit with the fans.
Blue Jay fans were eager to get their hands on the latest merchandise. It's the new City Connect jersey dubbed Night Mode. The new design is part of the City Connect partnership with Major League Baseball and Nike. The jersey features the city's skyline, the Toronto sign, and the CN Tower across the front.
This is a reflection of the city. So if you think about that iconic shot when the sun goes down in the nighttime, you see the reflection of the lights into Lake Ontario. So the color of the jersey is pitch blue. So it isn't black. Right. I know it looks black, but it's so navy and so dark that it looks black to the eye.
The jerseys were unveiled at an event last night on King Street West. Current and former players were there to mark the occasion.
It changes the look, changes the feel. I can't wait to see them out on the field tonight. I think they're going to look really sharp with the pants, just like a little Batman-like.
The jerseys will be worn by Toronto at tonight's game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Here's what fans had to say about them.
I love it. It's I really like how they incorporated the CN Tower, and it really feels good.
I like this, like the skyline.
It represents CN Tower, my office, and the place I live.
I like the darker color, and the blue pops out with the red.
The Jays are kicking off a 7-game homestand. The team currently sits in last place in the American League East Division.
So the Jays may not be doing that well in the standings. They seem to be doing well with the merchandise sales. Those jerseys are retailing for just under $200, $199 each. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. If you had tickets to see Jennifer Lopez at Scotiabank Arena in August, it looks like those concerts will not be happening. The singer is calling off her This Is Me live tour. Representatives for Live Nation said J-Lo is taking time to be with her children, family, and close friends. This comes as she declines to comment on reports she's living separately from husband Ben Affleck. J-Lo told fans she's heartsick and devastated to cancel, and refunds are on the way.
Eminem is out with the first music video from his upcoming new album.
So when I started this verse, it did start off lighthearted at first.
The music video for Houdini features cameos from several other celebrities, including Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and 50 Cent. It also features 2 versions of Eminem himself, reflecting on how he'd have felt about certain issues a few years ago compared to now. The full album, The Death of Slim Shady, will drop sometime this summer.
A few days after Disney shared the trailer for its upcoming sequel to Moana, there's been a record-breaking response from the public.
This is a call from the ancestors to sail to new skies.
The movie is a follow-up to the 2016 animated adventure, reuniting the characters for a new journey across the seas. Disney says the trailer for the movie Moana 2 got 178 million views within 24 hours of its release, the most for any animated trailer in the company's history. The sequel is out November 27th.
And while some new movies are debuting, Hollywood insiders are expecting a relatively slow weekend box office.
Say when? Never, John. Bury me in cheese.
After it came extremely close to being #1 last weekend, Garfield is expected to win the crown this time around. That's according to Deadline, which says Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is likely to fall to second place. Ticket sales figures suggest live-action animated crossover film If will take the bronze.
The National Ballet of Canada is about to debut its brand new production of Don Quixote this weekend.
But among the performers is a young dancer who also specializes in a very different art form. CTV's Pauline Chan has more.
Ross Allen is a dancer, but sometimes he dances like this, and sometimes he dances like this. The Ohio native started dancing when his mom was looking for an activity for her very energetic child.
She did not like sports because it was like, football, like head trauma, all that type of stuff, very dangerous. And so she took me to dance and I loved it.
And despite trying tap and other styles, he gravitated to the highly disciplined world of classical ballet. The 22-year-old became a member of the National Ballet's Corps in 2022 and will be seen in the company's new production of Don Quixote. So how did he enter the ball culture of Toronto?
The first time I walked a ball was in August of 2023.
It's a dance style that grew out of the underground LGBTQ+ community in the U.S., and it's a body language completely different from classical ballet.
Whenever you walk a ball is just when you step out for a category. So my category is performance, so voguing, any style. And then you do battles, and then you battle against people, and the judges choose who wins.
And Allen has been winning, and he hopes to do more as Pride Month begins.
I think dancing for so many years, I've been able to pick up different types of movement faster. Traditionally, ballet has been very binary. I feel like that is changing a little bit, very slowly. So I would like to do those Prince roles. I would like to do the fun, gesture, comedic type roles. I would like to do non-story ballets where it's just ballet, where I can just dance.
You can catch Ross and the National Ballet of Canada in the production of Don Quixote, June 1st to June 9th. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Jumping ahead 30 spots on the leaderboard in just one round, a local golfer takes a major swing at back-to-back Canadian wins at the RBC Canadian Open.
I take the Gardiner every day, so this weekend I will be staying home. Don't want to be on the traffic.
I just think it takes a lot away from, being able to plan over the weekend.
Updating our top stories, it'll be a weekend of traffic troubles across the city as two of the city's busiest expressways will be closed for a number of hours, as well as a major shutdown to subway service on Line 1 between St. Clair and Shepherd for scheduled track work.
This is an employer-driven process, and if the employer comes to the table with reasonable offers and reasonable wages and so on and so forth, that the strike can be averted.
Members of ATU Local 113 held a practice picket today, 1 week ahead of a possible strike by the Transit Workers Union. The union says if job action is taken, it would cause a total disruption of transit service across the city. The TTC says it's working on a contingency plan, but says job action would be devastating to the city. The union has set a strike date for June 7th, but as of now, both sides remain at the table.
Reflection of the city. So if you think about that iconic shot when the sun goes down in the nighttime, you see the reflection of the lights into Lake Ontario. So the color of the jersey is pitch blue, so it isn't black. Right. I know it looks black, but it's so navy and so dark that it looks black to the eye.
And the Toronto Blue Jays will take to the field in new uniforms tonight. The team's City Connect look was unveiled last night. The night mode theme will be worn by the team only for night games on 14 occasions during the season. And while some fans ridicule the look of the new hats and jerseys online, there were no shortage of eager fans lined up today to be among the first to buy them at the J Store.
And remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Canada's economy grew by less than expected to start 2024 and finished 2023 even weaker than we thought it would. Amber Kanwar from BNN Bloomberg has that story and more.
Canada's economy expanded by less than expected to start this year. Gross domestic product in the first quarter grew at 1.7%. That's less than the 2.2% forecast. And at the end of last year, growth was revised lower from 1% down to 0.1%. So barely any growth. This comes at a time when inflation has also steadily come down. As a result, investors and economists think that a Bank of Canada rate cut is just around the corner. The bank is scheduled to make its trend-setting rate decision on Wednesday, where they could cut rates from 5% to 4.75%. BRP warned that profit and sales for the year are going to be worse than expected. The Quebec-based maker of ski-doos and all-terrain vehicles says demand for its products are stalling due to a weaker economy and higher interest rates. The company is also planning to pull back its production, building fewer vehicles in reaction to the reduced demand. And after its namesake shareholder was found guilty of 34 felonies on Thursday, shares of Trump Media have had a rocky 24 hours. The stock fell as much as 14% in after-hours trading on Thursday once the verdict came out. This morning, it climbed back into positive territory before fading in the afternoon. By the time the markets closed, the stock was down by about 5%. Now let's take a look at the closing market numbers. The Canadian dollar advanced modestly around 73 cents US. Oil prices slid nearly a full $1 per barrel. Energy prices in Canada were also down below $66 per barrel. But it was an update on the TSX, adding nearly 200 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Amber Kanwar in the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Indigo Books and Music says Trilogy Investments has acquired all of its outstanding shares. The Toronto-based chain says the share purchase marks the completion of its deal to go private. It was carried out by the company of Gerald Schwartz, spouse of Indigo founder Heather Reisman. Indigo has been working to turn around its business since a bumpy 2023. Last year, it saw a series of leadership and board changes and was hit with a cyber attack that took down its website for a lengthy period.
Cell service is coming to more of the underground portion of the subway. Rogers Communications says it's installing the necessary infrastructure in the remaining 36 kilometers of unconnected tunnels after launching initial service late last year. Right now, service is available on all platforms, but only in tunnels south of Bloor and the Vaughan extension. Rogers says the entire process should take 2 years to complete.
The Toronto Blue Jays placed Alek Manoah on the 15-day injured list today. The starter has a right elbow sprain. He was removed from Wednesday's game because of discomfort in his throwing arm. Manoah missed the first 5 weeks of the season due to right shoulder inflammation. Also today, the Jays acquired pitcher Ryan Burr from Philadelphia for cash considerations.
In Hamilton, a local area golfer is on the leaderboard at the Canadian Open tonight.
Hottest guy on the course, Mackenzie Hughes.
Mackenzie Hughes of Dundas, Ontario, fired a 6-under 64 to soar 30 spots up in the standings. He's in the clubhouse at -7, tied for 4th place at the tournament. Hughes finished with back-to-back bogeys, but says overall it was a great day. Afterwards, he spoke about the support from Canadian fans.
This is like our 5th major, being a Canadian, and I mean, I've got so much support. I mean, I'm sure you were out there and you heard it when I made some of those putts. You know, they're getting pretty loud, and it kind of carries you a little bit. I mean, I felt like there was a point there where they were just going to go in, you know, and it was like the crowd was willing them in the hole. So, you know, I was loving the atmosphere out there, and I know the weekend will be more the same.
Scotland's Robert McIntyre had a 4-under 66 today to take the clubhouse lead, but Ryan Fox has now tied him at -10. The projected cut line is at even par.
The Edmonton Oilers are looking to take a 3-2 series lead tonight in the NHL's Western Conference Final.
Now the Oilers jump on it. They have a 2-on-1, short-handed. Here is Brown, slides it across. Grubauer scores!
Edmonton evened their series against Dallas with a 5-2 win at home on Wednesday. This evening, they're in Texas, where Stars defenseman Chris Tanev is questionable after injuring his right foot. Game 6 goes Sunday in Edmonton.
Still ahead tonight, if you missed the Northern Lights earlier this month, you may get another chance to see them. We'll tell you when to look toward the skies after the break.
Tonight, the encore event that could light up Canadian skies.
We might have some northern lights visible throughout Canada.
Another chance to see a stunning solar spectacle. That story and more later on CTV National News.
Finally tonight, it might be worth casting a gaze skyward this evening, just in case. The Northern Lights may be returning over parts of Canada. It's unlikely we would see them here, but it's possible. The southern extent of catching the aurora borealis cuts across the Toronto area and through the Atlantic region around Moncton. A sunspot that unleashed a series of solar flares earlier this month has turned back toward Earth and let loose another powerful flare this week.
And maybe we'll have clear skies to see this?
Yeah, it'll be beautiful tonight. So if we do get to see any of it, tonight will be the better night to do so. But really, it is going to be fantastic as we step right throughout the weekend. We say so long to May with a beautiful forecast tonight and into the day tomorrow. Even nicer. We're not looking at much in the way of active weather right now as we wrap up our Friday, step in towards the weekend, but there's a system just west of us. You can see it there just in the corner of your screen that will push in and bring at least the chance of some scattered showers on Sunday. But for now, we're focused on the sunshine, the warm weather, and the light breeze. Around home tomorrow, stunning. If you want to get outside and enjoy it, go for it. If you want to stay inside and enjoy it, that's fine too. Whatever floats your boat. Temperature-wise, we are fairly seasonal throughout the weekend. We do see that little bit of rain pass through midday on Sunday, but overall, as we settle into June, I like it, guys.
Yep, looks good. Thanks, Jess. And be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, and I'll have your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here, thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Have a great weekend.
Good night.
See ya.